Alabama is traveling to Doak Campbell Stadium to take on the Florida State Seminoles. Week 1, August 30th, 12:30 p.m. on ABC. And we got to break it down and tell you who is going to win this game. And we are going to start with coach versus coach, because we got Kalen DeBoer, who made his way over from Washington, versus Mike Norvell, who's been down in Tallahassee for a while. Now, we're going to be honest about this. Kalen DeBoer over there at Alabama, he was just 6 points away from coaching in his second consecutive college football playoff last year. Not at Bama, but with Washington and then Bama. We all know how people love to play the what-if game, and I've even heard people say, well, you know, he's a Michael Penix rib injury away. And then that 6 points last year against Arizona State from going to 3 straight college football playoffs in a row. I'm like, relax, people. DeBoer's proven that he's an excellent coach, but there are questions about how he's going to adjust to the SEC and especially the culture down there. But we can't sit here and pretend like replacing Nick Saban ain't just an insanely difficult task as well, and it is unrealistic expectations that are set upon him with the Alabama program. DeBoer, though, you got to say that he is brave for attempting that challenge, because usually people say, let somebody go there, fail, and then I'll be the next person to take that job. In 2025 for Alabama, he does have on paper, a championship caliber worth of starters. And when you look at their schedule, oh yeah, it's decent. This is a very manageable schedule. Now, I don't believe that the Tide fans are going to accept anything less than a top 3 finish in the SEC, and not just to return to the college football playoff, but they got to make a run if they're top 3. Now, if they win it, people will give them a little bit more grace, but your grace ain't what you get down there in Tuscaloosa. Now, on the other side of the ball, you got Mike Norvell. Now, he came out firing at ACC Media Day like he had just pounded 5 Red Bulls before taking the stage. But somebody affiliated with the Seminoles, they actually need to show some level of urgency. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, why not Mike Norvell, the head man? Because they were 13-0 in the regular season in 2023. Now, that bought Mike Norvell a lot of goodwill, and it bought him a new contract. But he used up all of that goodwill with a 2-10 campaign in 2024. And now he's got officially 3 losing seasons under his belt as the head coach in Tallahassee. Now, that is something that Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher did only once each in a combined 40 years at Florida State. So you know Florida State fans are like, bro, we can't even explain what has happened between Willie Taggart and Mike Norvell and the end of Jimbo Fisher's tenure, which was better than all of them so far. Because Mike Norvell is currently 29-9 with Jordan Travis at quarterback and 4-19 without him. So what did Mike Norvell do? He went back to his old trusty offensive mentor, Gus Malzahn, former head coach at Auburn, former head coach at UCF. Now he's supposed to be the guy that's going to help him figure out how to have success with their new transfer quarterback, Thomas Castellanos, who came from Boston College. Because when we look at this team, this was statistically one of the worst offenses in all of college football. There is not a meaningful, I'll say, statistical category that you can find that they were better than like 111th. That's pitiful. And then the defense was awful as well. But the question is, was the defense as bad because the offense was so bad? Because those things are married together. Now let's go on quarterback versus quarterback. Because the guy I just mentioned, Thomas Castellanos, because he definitely cut promos this offseason. WWE, nobody is afraid of Alabama anymore without Nick Saban. Now, there's a little bit of truth to that, because Alabama used to be able to throw their helmets on the field and win a lot of times. And now people are like, nah, you got to show up and fight, fam. You got to show up and fight for 4 quarters if you want this win. And that's what Kalen DeBoer is going to be trying to fight against right now. But this is now going to be must-see TV for a 13.5 point spread. Must-see TV, because people are going to want to see some humbling, or they are going to want to see Alabama get exposed. Now, I would have to question your credentials as a college football fan if you weren't tuned into this game anyway, if we're really being real. In the supposed slights and everything that Thomas Castellanos did against Alabama and his old team, Boston College, he was actually expressing some belief in himself and his own abilities, especially with the talent that he's surrounded by, that he believes he's surrounded by in Florida State. And that belief has led to a massive increase in attention and eyeballs down there in Tallahassee.
You expressed your belief in your abilities this year, and you're at Florida State now. You got this huge crowd. You saw the same thing happen with Diego Pavia, saw the same thing happen with Sam Levitt. They came out, they expressed belief in their abilities, and then they got all this attention. So, I mean, what does that say to you about like what it takes to get eyeballs on you and your talent in college football?
I mean, like Coach Norvell said earlier, you just got to go out there and do it. Like, I mean, this is for just talking and letting you guys know how we feel and our opinions and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you can say whatever you want to say. You can act and have all the eyes on you, but you still got to go do it. I think Arch Manning says it best. Like he said, he has all this attention and all this stuff going on, but like at the end of the day, you got to go do it, and you got to go show the world how talented you are and what you're capable of. So
now, I don't know what side of the fence that you're on when it comes to Thomas Castellanos, but I don't want to see the kid humbled. I want to see him go out there and play well. I don't have a dog in this fight in terms of caring who wins, but I do want to see him go out there and play well. This dude is one of 8 kids, lost his brother a few years back, and I believe that he's driven to succeed for all the right reasons, and rooting against him, for me, it just seems wrong. Now, I want him to play well. I want to see a great game, and then we can go from there with whatever the results are. There is a chance on the other side that we are going quarterback for quarterback, that Ty Simpson is going to be the starter, barring injury between now and game time. He has been one of those kids that has stayed loyal to the soil, and he's going into his 4th year. Now, you usually do not see that level of patience from one of the country's top recruits, especially when there are other opportunities available. Now, Simpson had a little bit of grit when it came to him looking at him in the pocket. And that is exactly what Kalen DeBoer had with his quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., and what he had with Jake Haener out there at Fresno State. Now, if you didn't get a chance to see Jake Haener, what he was doing to Pac-12 teams, he wasn't winning all the games, but he was causing massive problems. That is what I expect to see out of a Kalen DeBoer quarterback this year, because outside of Milroe's legs last year, the arm wasn't really scaring everybody like you would have hoped with your quarterback. If something happens to Simpson or he doesn't play well, there's a chance that we could see Keelan Russell, one of the top recruits, or you could see Austin Mack, who is a massive human being, back there as well, because he came from Folsom High School, went up to Washington with Kalen DeBoer, and then transferred down to Florida State with him. So we'll see. Let's look at the tail of the tape. We got Alabama's offense versus Florida State's defense. And the best player on the field for Alabama's offense is likely Ryan Williams. Now, he might be the second best sophomore in all of the country, but the dude is an absolute weapon and a potential day 1 pick for the NFL at some point in time. The Crimson Tide also have an All-American left tackle as well in Caden Proctor, and then their center, Parker Brailsford. And then if you add that with Texas A&M transfer Cam Dewberry, now, if he can hold his own at guard, this is going to be a bully ball offensive line that their running back, Mr. Jam Miller, is going to have a chance to go for 1,500 yards plus. Now, Florida State, they can only hope that their big defensive tackle, Darnell Jackson Jr., that his talent matches his effort, and then the Seminoles can actually get some help from their unproven transfer portal pass rushers, James Williams, Deontay McCray, Demont Diggs, because the Seminoles, last year, they had trouble in every aspect of the defense. And I mentioned it earlier because the offense is married to the defense. So if your offense is putrid like Florida State's was last year, then your defense is going to be constantly put in bad spots. So their rankings on defense, they're bad, but at the same time, you have to wonder how much this offense just continuously put them in terrible situations. Now, when we look at the Seminole secondary, though, they got a proven guy as there is in all of the transfer portal this year from Houston. His name is Jeremiah Wilson. So that is something to look out for, because Ryan Williams against Jeremiah Wilson is going to have the NFL scouts watching this game and be all the way locked in on them two kids. Now we got to look at Florida State's offense versus Alabama's defense, because Thomas Castellanos, Florida State's quarterback, he wasn't lying about having some serious help in this offense, because listen to him talk about 6'6" USC transfer Deuce Robinson.
Have you ever seen anybody quite like Deuce Robinson?
I've never played with a guy like Deuce Robinson, so to be his size and his speed and his caliber, no, I haven't. It's going to be my first time playing with a guy that I can just throw the ball up to and he go get it and come down with it. So I'm excited for that.
And to keep it a buck, Deuce ain't even the only upgrade at wide receiver. You got Tennessee transfer Squirrel Wright, because he's joined the Seminoles as well. And one of the more interesting additions to this offense used to be on Alabama's roster, because in fact, he scored in Nick Saban's SEC championship swan song over Georgia. That's Roydell Williams, because he missed pretty much the entire season for Florida State last year due to an injury. But he is Cam Newton, I'm back! And that could make for a dangerous offensive weapon. And then again, Florida State would settle for just functional on offense after last year's debacle. Now let's take a look at this Alabama defense, because Deontay Lawson, because he returns after finishing second on the team last year with 76 tackles and 2 sacks. The Crimson Tide, they are also dependent on their linebackers of Nikhil Hill-Green, who will be playing at his fourth school, but he has proven everywhere that he is a ball hawk. And Alabama's real strength on defense is really at their safety position. That's where Hubbard and Sabb, they return this year. And then you got Domani Jackson, USC transfer, and he's one of the better corners in the SEC. And we're going to have to see if any of them guys can figure out how to deal with Deuce Robinson's size, because that is a problem. Now we got to talk about the X factors, because those are the difference between winning and losing games. And Kalen DeBoer's last 5 regular season losses have all come on the road. So if this game wasn't at Doak Campbell, I'm not sure I would even be giving Florida State a chance as a 13.5 point dog. But this is also, you don't know with all these transfer portal players, because Mike Norvell, 13-0 season with transfer portal players. Then he went 2-10. So now you're like, what are we going to get? But the real trend with Kalen DeBoer is that he's been able, after he has a full offseason of preparation, his offense, they are coming out humming and coming out excited. Now, he's won his last 5 openers and dropped an average of 50+ points in the process. That is high-powered offense, people. Now, granted, some of the season openers were cakewalks, but still, that's still a lot of damn points. Now, on the other side, though, you got Tony White. He was hired over there at Florida State because he got hired away from Nebraska to bring that Rocky Long 3-3-5 defense to Tallahassee. And maybe that is something that it is going to be hard for Kalen DeBoer to prepare for, because that in and of itself gives teams fits, because it is hard to block. It is an unconventional defense than what you see on a day in and day out basis. So my prediction, I am going to take Florida State plus 13.5, and I am going to take Florida State with the upset, because I did in my bold college football predictions predict Alabama was going to miss the college football playoff this year. And if that's going to happen, it might be this game that does it. You guys make sure that you guys continue watching the Unafraid Show. Like, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show, and be one of us.